Hey guys, if you don't know who I am, I'm Savia Rocks, and I help people tell their stories, stay inspired, and get educated as they find the pride of who they are within creativity, but most of all, without judgment. Join us as we talk about
You really want to leave a legacy, do something for mankind. Do something that's going to benefit not just your children, everyone else's children.
I think our job as humans is to become the person we were born and peel away the cultural stuff that was given to us, the trauma, like peel away the stuff that changed us or that was thrown on us or made us small or made us go off track.
The biggest thing I've always found is when people think they know so much, then they start knowing so little.
And I'm making the right choice, and I'm showing up for myself, and I'm showing up for what matters in life.
Sometimes I think that trauma doesn't always have to be a bad thing. I think trauma can help you make choices in your life that turn something that started bad into something beautiful. So guys, welcome to season 7 of the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
Hi, my name is Suzi Payton. I'm a autistic and ADHD speaker, comedian, coach and author. And my mission, quite simply, is to help make the world a better place for neurodivergent folks. Thank you for listening to me on the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I am abundantly humbled to have Susie here with me. Susie is an autistic and ADHD speaker, comedian, author, and coach to help make the world a better place for neurodivergent folks. I like that. See, that makes more sense now. Susie, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People podcast. How are you?
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very well, thank you.
No, most definitely. So I'm really interested. I've looked at, for example, your social media, and you're very colourful and bright, which is what I love. But I would love to know more about you in the sense of where you grew up, but also how it influenced you to be the person who you are today.
Yeah, so did you say where I grew up?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up in Essex, actually, a place called Loughton, and I grew up in Essex and went to school there, moved eventually down to the south coast. So I went to university in Eastbourne to do PE teaching, did that for a short while, and then now I live in Brighton, and it's absolutely lovely here. So I think I've been down on the south coast longer than I was in Essex. So yeah, beautiful.
That sounds awesome. I've been to Brighton a few times, and it's been so lovely every time I've gone there. And I don't want to drive back to London.
No, it's a bit cooler down here.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And you guys have the sea and the people that literally just talk. Well, to me, I feel like the people just literally talk to you. Whereas in London, there's a lot of huffle and kerfuffle, and people are always in a rush to get somewhere.
Yeah, I've been to London a few times this month, and it's quite different. I love going there because it's so different. But it's different vibe, definitely.
No, most definitely. So my next question for you is, can you define yourself as a person, but also who do you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, has there ever been a time where you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to go from a person that you may not have liked to becoming a person that you feel you can be openly and freely?
So first question then, how do I define myself? I define myself as a human being who is and wants to kind of help other people to recognise how the people I work with, neurodivergent folks, have spent a lifetime like myself, kind of doubting themselves, feeling different, feeling like they don't fit in, but don't know why. So, that's defining myself is, helping other people through comedy, through a bit of coaching, and mainly through speaking. You know, I speak at conferences and things, so big audiences, and help them to help either themselves or their loved ones, their colleagues. So yeah, I'm on a mission really, like I say, to help make the world a better place for neurodivergent folks, and bringing the comedy into that, you know, like that's kind of been a game changer for me in my business, you know.
Yeah.
Being silly. I taught a comedy improv workshop last night. So
Awesome.
being ADHD, I like to do lots of different things. I have to balance that though, because it can lead to burnout.
Yes.
But yeah, I had 10 neurodivergent adults in the room with me last night, all doing comedy improv, which was the most hilarious thing ever, because improv is, you never know what's going to happen. And some of them were terrified. They'd never done it before, but they went for it because they felt safe and supported. So yeah, just love connecting people and helping people.
What made you actually decide to get into comedy? Comedy is not an easy thing to get into, because you know that you're standing sometimes in front of a crowd to be able to entertain that crowd in a certain way. What is it like for you to be able to do comedy? Because some people say to me comedy is like therapy. It's like standing in front of a stage and having therapy, but your own therapy in front of other people, which people don't actually know that. I've spoken to quite a few comedians on different levels, and all of them have said, Savia, it's like therapy, but they don't realize that we're just literally saying our opinions out in the world, and that's how we really feel, and they're laughing, but that's how we really feel. How is it for you?
Yeah, so I started doing comedy about 15 years ago when I was working for an educational organisation. They said to me, find a course, any course you want, we'll pay for it, as long as it helps you with your sessions that you, so I used to work with children. Yeah. So I found this improv course in Brighton, and I thought, well, that sounds fun. But 15 years ago, I wasn't a speaker. I mean, I was a teacher, but I was a burnt out teacher. Okay. And I did feel like every day was a struggle, you know, being up in front of people and performing. So I had that performance element, but never done any acting or actual performing. So when I did the comedy course, I got there and I thought, what am I doing? I wanted to run away. I was so scared because I was like, I've never done this before. So, you know, I did it. I stayed, I did it. And my very first scene, because this is comedy improv, not stand-up at this point, was acting out being a gravedigger with somebody else and just making stuff up. And we did it. Everyone laughed, and from that moment I was hooked on improv. So that's how I started with improv, and then I was teaching it in my sessions with kids, and kids loved it. And then I met quite a few stand-up comedians through the improv scene, and I thought, oh, that sounds good, I'll try that. So I did a course. So back then I was absolutely terrified, like my brain was scrambled. I did it. People laughed. Again, I was like, I like this. Then I was on the circuit for about 3 years. Yeah. Solidly, London, Brighton, Manchester, you know, all over the place. It was a hyperfocus for me. I was just comedy. And then my mum died, and then I stopped for about 10 years. So 5 years ago, when I started my own business, I brought the comedy back. I did online workshops in lockdown, which people, you know, gave them a bit of relief from the crazy times. Yeah. And then I brought my stand-up into my speaking, into my keynote talks. So now I run my own event down in Brighton with ADHD The Experience. So it's comedy and motivational talks. And I compare that, so I get to practice my talks, I get to practice my comedy. So it's come back into my life in such a lovely way, and now I'm not terrified, I'm actually enjoying it. So it's beautiful, you know?
See, this is something I want to go even deeper to, because I feel like more people should know about this, because a lot of people that even I know are either have ADHD like myself or have dyslexia like myself. So there's their autism, and there are I think all of these things are gifts in their own unique way. I don't like putting things in boxes. I don't believe in that. But I would love to hear your opinion about this, because a lot of people feel like if we are labelled with something, it puts us into a box, and we, like yourself, kind of shelter ourselves away. How can we transform that with things like you do to help people? Because I would love for people to know more about what you do and why it's so important for you to be able to be yourself.
Yeah, so being, for the last 5 years, it's been a massive overhaul, transformation. I really am being myself and being very open. Obviously the work I do, I have to be open, otherwise it would be a bit weird. But so yeah, I mean, in terms of labels, when I'm delivering talks, I always say, when you have a diagnosis, or not even a diagnosis, self-diagnosis is valid, because getting a diagnosis is very tricky these days, and quite the privilege. And some people don't need to have that formal recognition, because actually we know inside who we are, and we don't. Some people, like this is me now, I have a diagnosis, but don't need to have permission from a professional that yes, you are autistic. Some people just know, So that's a whole conversation in itself. And I think it's, instead of calling it a label, I call it a reason for understanding.
I like that.
Because the labels that we've generally grown up with have been too much, too intense, too dramatic, too sensitive, over the top, lazy, flaky.
Yes.
So those labels are very, very damaging, which is why my self-esteem and confidence was just non-existent, So that's what I've been working on for myself, so I can help other people. And the comedy aspect, honestly, if you'd been there last night in that room,
I wish I was.
Yeah, you have to come down for one of the. I do them a few times a year, because being so busy, I can't do them very much. But it was just lovely, so supportive. Someone came in late, and they rushed over to her in the break, and they were like, "Look, this is my first time too," because she was really nervous. And it was just, honestly, and to help. So for people to come to something like that and be themselves, and not have to mask and pretend to be all like neurotypical and polite.
Yes.
Everyone was polite, but in a genuine way, So yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but bringing people together is the key. You said people can put themselves in a box and isolate. Well, this is kind of the opposite. If people find people that are similar to them, of course we're all different,
Yes.
but similar strengths, similar challenges, people will, start to realise they are okay.
Why do you feel that people in the world treat us differently? Or do you think that people don't necessarily know how to understand? Because I know the big key word that you're saying is, Susie, is understand. But how can we help make people understand that, well, different is not a bad thing. Different is actually a good thing. And to embrace that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key, isn't it? I think some people are so fearful of anything or anyone being different.
Exactly.
That this is what causes all of the divide and all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world right now, because people are fighting back against those that are different, i.e. those that know the right way to be.
Yes. We can be here all day if we speak about that.
Yeah. So it's fear, isn't it? It's fear, and I think the only way to really kind of penetrate that And it's not only fear, like that's quite extreme. Some people just, if they're not in that world, they've only got the stereotypes to look at, haven't they?
That's
like
true.
for autism, either somebody that's a savant like Rain Man, or somebody that's really high support needs. So they don't know that there's that kind of middle in between ground, the spectrum being round. So I think people just don't have a good frame of reference. So that's where I come along and explain it in a nice, kind way, because people will then listen, and in a funny way as well. People will listen rather than a ranty, preachy way.
I would love for you to be able to, if you can, because a lot of people don't know, for example, what ADHD is. A lot of people don't know what autism is. A lot of people don't know what even dyslexia is. I was kindly wondering if you could break down a few of them just to give people a better understanding of what all these things are.
Yeah. So ADHD, it's talked about a lot recently, which is good in many ways, but it has brought out some weird opinions of the few as well, like, oh, it doesn't exist, it's not real. I mean, when people say that, I just
think there's just an ignorance in them, and they're not educated enough to understand, like we said, what the difference is and how people can be so beautifully different. Sorry, I just went on a tangent because I do that sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Well, ADHD. So attention, it stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which I think the language around this stuff it makes me cringe, to be honest, because it's not a deficit of attention, it's an abundance of attention. Our attention can want to go everywhere. And then when it finds something it's interested in, because of course we have interest-based nervous systems.
Yes.
So once we're interested, we can hyperfocus. And that is like intense concentration. You're nodding along. I know you get it. So that's a big myth as well. Hyperactivity, well, not everybody with ADHD is hyperactive. Yeah. So I think this causes some misconceptions, because people think ADHD, little boy running around creating chaos in the classroom. That's their image in their mind, when people, of course, can be hyperactive. That can be like using fidgets, that can be pacing, that can be always on your phone, it can be talking at length, but as we know, it can also, hyperactivity can manifest in the brain, and it can be racing thoughts, and then it's often misdiagnosed as anxiety. Which is another thing, especially like a lot of the women that I work with have been told by their doctors for years, oh, you're anxious and depressed, here you go, have some pills, when all along underneath it's been ADHD. And this is so common, as I'm sure you know, and people are finally realizing that they're not anxious and depressed, or the root cause of that is not honouring and having their needs met as an ADHD. So don't have to be hyperactive. I'm an attentive type, so I used to be quite hyperactive, but now I'm more like I can zone out mid-conversation but still look like I'm listening. Same. For example. And just nodding and not hearing a word, which I used to feel a lot of shame around that and didn't ask people to repeat themselves. I would just like hope that I could, just get away with it. But now I say, oh my gosh, my brain just wandered off. Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, which is good. Yeah.
So that self-advocacy takes time and practice, because some people can feel ashamed. And, once we talk about this stuff, the shame disappears. So that's ADHD in a nutshell. But lots of things people don't necessarily associate with it is perfectionism, overwhelm, self-doubt, So RSD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, that's something that's huge. It's not part of the assessment criteria, but it's more and more being known about RSD and how we can be really sensitive to criticism and rejection, and can have sometimes extreme emotional reactions when we feel criticized or rejected. And that's clearly a trauma response from having all of these messages throughout our lives, you know, whether it's like you're too much, verbal messages, or even non-verbal messages, eye rolls, sighing, you know, those microaggressions.
Yeah, I've seen those loads of times.
Repeating yourself but louder. I hate it when people do that.
Yeah,
you know,
and they do it in a certain way where it sounds quite sarcastic.
Yeah.
Where you feel like, okay, I'm not silly. You don't need to pull it across in that way.
Yeah. And that was such a trigger for me for years, because I always thought I was stupid.
No.
Because at school I couldn't do maths. You know, I really struggle with maths. I couldn't concentrate, so I messed around. So I thought I was stupid, like this real core belief that there's something really wrong with me. So when somebody repeats themselves and in a kind of patronizing way, that would get me. Not so much anymore. I'm able to breathe through it and let them know that how I feel.
Which is good. You should be.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. Well, for each of us is different, but it takes, a long time for us to be able to really go into our thought system. And sometimes it can be trauma as well that makes us that way.
Yeah.
And that plays a massive element. And unless we learn to forgive our traumas and understand our traumas, it's very hard to be able to move on.
Absolutely. That is the key, looking back and recognizing it as trauma, and dealing with it appropriately, whether that's with therapy, with, you know, coaching, whatever you need. But it's certainly a process. Yeah, definitely.
You do so many things. How do you manage to keep time for all of them and be focused within them? And I know you love everything you do, which is a beautiful thing to be able to do, but how do you manage, because I always ask people this question, how do you manage to stay focused and know when to put your all into it, but also know when to take time for yourself, because time for yourself is important?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something I've been working on also over the last 5 years. So previous to the last 5 years, I would do everything, then get burnt out, then get really ill.
That's the one.
You know, that cycle. But I worked with such a fantastic coach and mentor on this stuff, so that now I'm able to take time out. So I go swimming, not every day, but many mornings at the local outdoor pool.
Awesome.
So it is heated. It's not that cold. Well, it's 19 degrees, so sometimes it feels cold. But that gives me that really beautiful start to the day, that dopamine, that fresh air. Like, it's outdoor pool. I love it there. It's my, what did I call it? My haven. So I really make sure I do that a couple of times a week. Usually always on a Monday, because I think what a great start to the week.
That's true.
And so those things, I've overhauled my health. So I've stopped drinking alcohol for a year and a few months, and there's no way I'm going back, because that was quite the journey, weaning myself off of that psychologically more than physically. Wow. So I had some health concerns, probably due to drinking alcohol.
Wow.
And I was using that I was drinking since I was 13 years old.
Whoa.
So for kind of self-medicating purposes, which a lot of neurodivergent people do.
Yeah.
And I paid the price, but luckily I was able to do something about it.
I like that.
And so now I'm really, really conscious of my physical health, what I'm putting into my body, you know, and I'm not a saint. I eat
don't
burgers.
think any of us are, to be quite fair. I don't think no one is.
No, we're human, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, but I really am conscious of that. Every morning, this is something, a routine that's finally managed to stick, and that is I draw some angel cards every morning, which give really, really lovely messages, and then I do some journaling.
Yeah.
So that's my morning routine, and that grounds me. So how do I balance it all? Well, by looking after my health, looking after my well-being, and not taking on too much, which I say that the last 2 weeks I have taken on far too much, but that's because I've got a book coming out, and I went back to my old ways, saying I've got to do everything, and I am paying the price. So after this week, I'm back. I've learned, and I'm back to being very choosy about what I do, because I'm not superhuman. I like to think I am, but it catches up with me in the end.
I would love to know more about your book, to be fair. I know you're in the process of writing it and getting it done and developed, so on and so forth, but please, if you would like to tell us something about it, please do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, it's been a while since we actually first got in touch. So the book is ready, and it's going to be released on the 21st of August.
I like that.
Yeah, so I've literally got a copy. I've been given a few copies. Look at that.
That looks lovely.
Yeah. So it's amazing to have it in my hand.
Yeah.
It's real. London last week before to record so I co-authored it with Kate Lane Toner, and I went to London last week to record my bit for Audible.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that was hard work.
I can imagine.
It was intense. I mean, a great experience, in the studio, and my brain kept glitching. It took all of my self-love and compassion to get through that, rather than I can't do this,
What was it like being on the microphone and having to read what you have written? What was that emotionally like? Because I know when you're writing it, it's completely different. Your headspace is in a different place, and you're writing from your heart, from pen to paper, and even that can be a process within itself. And people don't always realize how long it takes for you to process what is in your head onto paper. What was that like for you?
So therapeutic.
Oh, we cut out. Oh, you still there, Susie? Yeah, there you are.
You have sound effects as well.
No, I was just saying it just cut as soon as I finished the question, so you can begin from the beginning if that's okay.
So the question around what it was like.
Yeah, what it was like emotionally. Yeah, to do.
Yeah, because writing it was emotional and therapeutic as well, and then reading it, because I didn't know what to expect. Hadn't done it before. It was really emotional again, and I did feel quite vulnerable because I had the producer listening in as well, and I think he got to know me quite well by the end of the day. He kind of knew my life story, which was really strange, but there were some really emotional bits in there, and to read them out loud it made it all real and oh wow, I'm doing this. And it was quite and it was really hard as well, because my brain kept saying different words, and because you've got this microphone a bit like the one you've got, it picked up every sound. If I drank some water, which of course I had to because I was talking so much, then my chest would gurgle, and then he when it goes and then he say, can you say that a bit again? I heard gurgling, and I was like, oh, but I have to drink the water. It was bonkers.
I know how, even when you take a breath, even that goes on the microphone. The microphones are awesome pieces of equipment, but they literally pick up everything, and it's just about learning microphone techniques and just breathing. Breathing is one of the biggest things when you're reading anything. And so
luckily I've done a lot of acting and stuff as well, so I was able to think, I wasn't prepped in that way, but I had to draw on my breathing techniques. Yes, it was incredible, but I mean, I'm very honoured that it's gone straight to Audible, because not every book does. That is true. Yes. So the book, shall I tell you what it's called?
Of course, please do.
I didn't say that. I've gone off on a right old tangent. So it's called Lost and Now Found, A Guide to Understanding and Accepting Yourself for Late Discovered Autistic Adults. And I'm so proud of it, and it is available for pre-order, so I can let you know the links and stuff.
Yes, we're definitely going to make sure at the end of the show that we definitely say everything, your books, and absolutely, because this is something that I think a lot of people, I know quite a few people who, like yourself, self-diagnosed themselves at an older age because they didn't realise that, they had, like we say, autism, and it's a wonderful experience to view from a bird's eye point of view when people do go through it, because when they articulate their story to you, you learn something too. And I think that's the best part of anything in life, is when you're learning from and the person might not even realize that they're telling you or making you have this experience. So I think it's absolutely wonderful. One of the questions I do love to ask people is about judgment. We constantly get judged by who we are, what we look like, how we speak, and sometimes we don't even need to do anything at all. If I took the word judgment out of the dictionary, Susie, and I said to you, judgment did not exist, what do you believe in your life that you would have done differently knowing that judgment did not exist?
Yeah, what a lovely question. I would have done what I'm doing now a lot earlier. So I'd always had this dream to have my own business, but I always thought, people won't take me seriously. So I was very fearful of other people's judgments. I wouldn't speak up in school, college, even in the workplace, because I was this fear of judgment. It was huge, and my inner critic just went away with it, and would tell me that people would think I'm silly, people don't want to hear what you've got to say, you'll sound silly, you won't articulate, you'll forget. So other people's judgment or fear of that became my inner critic and my inner dialogue for years. And it was only when I learned that that's not the truth, that inner critic is just the part of your brain trying to keep you safe.
Yes.
That I was like, so I don't have to believe it. This is very empowering and freeing and liberating. And I've been working really hard to observe that inner critic, and it's much quieter now, but it still sneaks in at any opportunity. But now I'm like, that's not the truth.
I like that.
Yeah, you're not telling the truth. So thank you for your opinion, inner critic, but I know what my truth is, and I'm going to go with it. And people will judge. We're humans. That's what our brains do, don't they? Yeah. And some people, I think the difference is, some people are unaware of how judgy they are,
Yes.
Like, wake up. But of course, we're all on our individual path, and I judge myself, not judge myself, I judge others, but then I realise I'm doing it, and I'm like, oh my God, you do it too, And
you pull yourself up about it, to be quite fair.
Yeah.
That's something that I I learned along the way, and I kind of filtered out as I taught myself a meditation to filter out all the things that I don't want to do in my life. So for example, when I wake up in the morning, I meditate and I go through the list of things that I'm thankful for, pretty much like you, but you journal it, which is awesome. And then I kind of filter them out, so I know this is what I'm not going to do today. And they say it takes, I do believe, 28 to 31 days in order for you to build a consistent habit on something that you do or do not want to do within your life. So if you are consistent, and sometimes even consistency can be hard, you learn to develop things that you don't want in your life and that you do want in your life. But another thing that's fundamentally important that I've learned is the people that you have around you play a massive part on who you become also. Yeah. I've learned that too. So these are the things that I think are also important. So the fact that you journal what you do, you express who you are, you pull yourself up, I think all these things are absolutely wonderful. And it's nice to be able to give those things to people to help educate them and let them learn about themselves. So I love that.
Yeah, and that is, you've just summed up really what I hope to do.
I think you're doing it. I don't think you need to sum it up, Susie. I think it's something that you literally abundantly do every day.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's
most
good
definitely.
To hear.
What is the best advice you believe, Susie, that you have received that has helped you in your life? I know that we go through a transition in our lives all the time, but is there anybody who you feel has given you advice which has, helped you in your life?
Yeah, I think the coach I was talking about, I worked with for about 3 or 4 years, Jen Thomas, and she, I don't know if it was advice. She probably did give me advice along the way, but she helped me figure it out for myself, So in terms of advice, it's kind of just true to yourself and doing what lights you up. Because for years, I was a teacher for 17 years. I mean, I don't know how it baffles me that I did it that long, but it didn't light me up. I loved elements of working with the children. I loved that. But, the toll it took on my health, my mental health, and it didn't suit my brain, my neurodivergent brain that needed structure, but needed novelty and planning. Oh my gosh, that is like so hard for me. And being a teacher, you have to plan.
Yes.
So I think it's doing what you truly love, and that's the key. Not doing something because you think you should, or because it was part of my identity. Well, I'm a teacher, I have to teach. I've been shedding all of that identity and coming back, really finding out who I am. And that is, a great human being that helps others. So doing stuff you love that lights you up, and not spending time doing stuff that you feel like you should be doing. I think, if you take judgment out of the dictionary, I think we should take should out as well.
Yes. I like that. And another one that I used to take out was the word normal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's hard to define what normal is.
Well, it's a made-up concept.
Exactly.
Totally. It's totally made up, but people buy into it. But of course, then other people like us don't, and show people that you don't have to be normal, whatever that is, because it is made up anyway. Exactly. Be yourself,
See, this is what I like. If there was, I think music plays a huge part in all of our lives, and it can also help us to heal, understand, and become who we want to become. If there was one track that you believe was close to being the soundtrack of your life, Susie, what song would you choose, and why would you choose that particular song?
Wow, that's a great question, because my walk-on music when I do my events is that song. So it's I Am What I Am by Gloria Gaynor.
I like that song, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I am, what bit do I love? I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise, I think it's pretty. So I do things my way. Some people will get it, some people won't, And I love that song, and it really sets me up for a show. And yeah, it's my song, definitely.
I like that. See, you just knew that straight away. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was,
see?
yeah.
If you were stuck on a desert island and I said to you, Susie, you're allowed to bring one president, one activist, one musician to have a conversation with for 24 hours about anything, who would you bring and why?
Wouldn't bring a president.
So many people say that to me. It's like eliminate.
Well, yeah, that's an easy one to eliminate. So it can be anyone, can it?
Anyone dead or alive. So you've got
really
an activist and musician.
Activist and musician. I know what I'm going to say. I've been listening to her like obsessively over the last few months, and I just think she's got such a lovely energy. Oh yeah, her name just came back to me. Carole King, I'm going to say.
Yes, I know Carole King, yes.
Oh, such an amazing songwriter.
Yes, and I was going to say, she's one of the people that I absolutely admire.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I watched a concert with her and James Taylor, and I was just mesmerised. I think her energy is just so amazing, and her words, her lyrics. So I'll go with that. Otherwise, we'll be here all day trying to choose.
And so actually, that covers both of them, to be quite fair. Activist and musician in a way, because she does both of them. And no, you are absolutely right. She's one of the, I think she's one of the greats when it comes to songwriting. And it's nice to have women in the field who can articulate themselves in that way. I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely amazing. So I've only got two more for you. My second to last one is about legacy. Legacy plays a huge part in all of our lives, but people seem to define legacy as when we pass away and we leave behind the memories for other people. I don't necessarily believe that is true. I believe that legacy can be defined in your present being of who you are and how you help elevate, touch people's lives with compassion and kindness when they're here, speak to them when they're in a place that they feel that they're not abundantly where they want to be. How do you define what legacy means to you?
Well, that's really interesting, because when you first said the word, I thought, so when I die, this is what I've left behind, and I'm hoping that I'm carrying on helping people. So like the book, my work, a lot of it is online, my videos, and some of it's comedy and some of it is heartfelt motivational speaking.
Yes.
And that's what I do at the events that I speak at as well. So I like your take on it as well, as it being a present day thing as well. So I think stuff like I've talked about, being in that room last night teaching comedy improv to those neurodivergent people, some who were terrified, and who have like spent their lives being told that they're not good enough in one way or another.
Yes.
I run a group, a meet-up group, social group, and lots of people come to that. And I love connecting people. I think that's what I'm good at. And I think that will be my legacy. I've had people in that group saying, I never had friends before, and now I've got loads. And that, she even said, and that's due to you. And I was a bit like, I was caught off guard, and I nearly cried, which is not a bad thing, but it caught me off guard. So, and seeing them last night, they went for a drink after the session, and I would have, but I was too tired. Just seeing them all walk off together,
It's a nice feeling.
Yeah, so helping people, being that bridge between, neurotypical and neurodivergent, bringing people together, and I think that's it, bringing people together for more love, understanding and compassion and empathy.
Yes, that's a massive one. That is definitely a massive one. So my last one for you before I kindly get to say thank you for coming on the show is I would love for everyone to be able to find your courses where you are on your social medias. Your book, more importantly, is awesome, and I know it's awesome. please let us know where we can find you, how people can get your book, and literally everything else about you.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I'm on most social media platforms. So I'm on YouTube, Suzi Payton, TikTok, Suzi Payton, ND comedian. Just type in Suzi Payton. Or go to my website, then you can access my accounts, LinkedIn, Facebook. I've got Facebook groups. But I think sign up to my mailing list. I don't spam people, because then you find out about all the stuff that I've got going on. I have events, I have live events, online events, it's all going on. And my book is available for pre-order. You can get that at Amazon or any other reputable booksellers. And I've got a free prize draw if you pre-order. So if anyone pre-orders, let me know and I'll send you the link to enter the prize draw. I've got 10 prizes from 10 neurodivergent businesses that are up for grabs, and I've got an online launch in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I want everyone to come to that as well.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Oh yeah, I'll definitely be there. I love supporting people in what they do, especially when it comes to things like this. I love doing that. So Susie, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Ask People podcast. It's been an abundant joy. Thank you for sharing your story in your way without no filters. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been absolutely great. I've really enjoyed it.
Cool, that's so cool, guys. I want to thank you so much for listening to the Ask People podcast, and please remember you can subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or any other platform that you prefer listening to. You can also listen to the Ask People podcast every Tuesday, where we put out a pre-recorded version of the Ask People podcast for you to listen to. But don't just listen to the most recent one. You can go all the way back to 6 seasons and find a podcast that resonates with you and uplifts you in your way. You can also listen on Wednesday, where we play the pre-recorded version of the Ask People podcast again on the radio on the Heart Songs Live at 9 p.m. UK time. And this is where I say, guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another. Take care.
I'ma get deeper, tables are turning, world in reverse, political burning. Where is the love? Where is the hope? Where is the faith inside? It's been misplaced, power being misguided, manipulation used for both sides, unjustified violence. You living it up in your kingdom, where you're using the misguided ones to do your killing. You should be in front line, seeing the pain, taking the blame, seeing the souls that been lost and flown away.
Oh, thank you. That was really, really lovely. I felt so comfortable, as you could hear by my ramblings, but that was great.
You don't need to do that again.
Is that all right?
How do you breathe and how do you sleep? I guess it's a lie you've been telling yourself. Get deeper, tables are turning, world in reverse, political burning. Change the status, sins of your fathers, ripping through time, we living and breathing it. How could I breathe when I see people dying on both sides? We need to do better, shell shock, yeah, imagine that. Powers pretending they don't even have blood on their hands. Playing on both sides, you know what you did. Change the status quo, sins of your fathers, ripping through time, we living it, breathing it. Kings and queens, mass destruction, digging mass graves, driven by the greed. You don't really care, devil smile in my face. Your hidden agenda ain't really about peace, your hidden agenda ain't really about love. How do you breathe and how do you sleep? I guess it's a lie you've been telling yourself. The lies we see through the darkness and the blurry lines. I'm about to dive in deep, the wheels are spinning, globes in rewind, political ablaze. Where's compassion? Where's the love?